One of the most profound things that I did for healing my chronic illness and anxiety is learning how to regulate my nervous system. I spent years in this vicious cycle of having zero energy, debilitating joint pain, really overwhelming anxiety, and it felt like I would never get out. The poor state of my physical health led to a lot of mental health struggles, which then contributed a lot to my physical pain as well. Until I really understood that your mental health and your physical health are not these two separate things that we've been led to believe, but are intrinsically connected, that's when I was finally able to get out of this cycle. And that's what I want to share with you today, how you can take back control of your physical and mental health by learning how to regulate the nervous system and support your vagus nerve. I'll explain why your nervous system can get dysregulated and how to fix it, and show you my absolute favorite massage technique that will take you from anxious to calm in 60 seconds. Welcome back to Mind Body Mel. If you're new here, I'm Dr. Mel. I'm a licensed naturopathic doctor. I love sharing all things anxiety, chronic illness, burnout, because these are all things that I went through myself on my own healing journey. And now it's my mission to help you not feel so alone if you're still in the midst of figuring out your own healing journey. Today, we're going to talk about the nervous system, specifically the vagus nerve, which is one of my favorite things to talk about. Making that connection that my autoimmune disease and my mental health were really connected was such an unlock for me, and it's a really important part of the healing journey that I've seen in my own clients too. So I'm really excited to talk more about it today. If you are just interested in the vagus nerve massage, I do have timestamps listed below, so you can go ahead and skip to that. Lola decided she wanted to join for a little bit at least. Go ahead, grab yourself a cozy drink, and let's get into it. Nervous system's gotten a lot of buzz, which I love because I think it's really important that we talk about it. But I think a lot of people can struggle to see the connection of why nervous system work really matters for their health. Maybe mental health makes sense, thinking about the nerves and the brain, and you can understand how it might impact your mental health, but physical health, specifically with autoimmune disease and chronic illness, it's still super important. I want you to think about your nervous system having its hands in every other system in the body. Your nervous system slows your heart rate when it's time to go to sleep. Your nervous system can stop the activity in your stomach so it's not digesting its food when it's time for you to exercise or you need to run from a tiger. It can constrict or relax your airway so you're getting in more oxygen, or it can even constrict or dilate your pupils, depending on if you need to see better in the light or the dark. Your nervous system is assisting with all of those other systems in the body. So if you can understand that, you could see how if your nervous system isn't working properly, if it's feeling dysregulated, things might not be working the way that they're supposed to. Your nervous system might not send out the right neuron messengers. It might secrete too much or too little of a hormone, something like cortisol. And things can start to get a little wonky and not function the way that they're supposed to. This is also why autoimmune disease feels so random in the body. You might have a skin rash, and you might have joint pain, and you might have a headache and brain fog, and it just feels like the entire body's kind of breaking down, right? You feel a little crazy with all these symptoms, but you're not crazy because it's your nervous system. There might be this dysregulation happening in the nervous system that is then having all of these outward effects to the other systems in the body. And you might be thinking, well, how does that nervous system dysregulation happen in the first place? It can happen for a lot of reasons. Trauma, childhood trauma is really common. Your nervous system was exposed to an unstable environment, neglect, incredibly traumatic events at an early age. That might be the base foundation that your nervous system had, especially if there weren't things that were regulating your nervous system or any therapy that really worked through that trauma. You might still be holding on to that in your nervous system. But trauma is not the only reason. Not everybody has childhood trauma, and they can still have a dysregulated nervous system. So it can be things like going really long stints without getting good quality sleep. Malnutrition, so not eating enough food or eating a lot of processed foods that really lacks nutrition. Not exercising. What I'm seeing a lot now is too much screen time. Having all that stimulus that your nervous system is constantly having to process is too much, especially when it's happening every single day for long periods of time. And often it's the combination of all the things, right? Maybe you had a really tragic event happen, loss in the family, and that led to you not sleeping well for a long time, using food to cope. Maybe you weren't moving a lot, like everything just kind of started to disintegrate a little bit, and your nervous system struggled to get back on track. Especially with things like autoimmune disease, I talk a lot with my patients about that bucket, and when you fill the bucket too high, it can just be one event that happens that tips you over into expressing the autoimmunity. So all of these small things, they feel like small things, you know, not sleeping well, not moving enough, not eating well, not managing your stress, and then eventually the body can't take it anymore, and that's where we start to see the expression progression of disease. Maybe you don't have an autoimmune disease, but you really struggle with anxiety and panic attacks. I really see panic attacks as the manifestation of your nervous system being so dysregulated that it is just screaming out. It almost feels like you're stuck in the panic setting and you can't turn it off. Training your nervous system to properly regulate looks like knowing which state of nervous system dysregulation you're in. I do have a couple other videos on the nervous system and talking about fight, flight, or freeze mode, so definitely make sure you watch those next. Essentially, there are two sides of the nervous system: hyperarousal and hypoarousal. Fight and flight mode are your classic hyperarousal, so you might feel that adrenaline rush. It might be hard for you to relax. You feel like even though there's nothing stressful going on, you're still stressed all the time. Freeze mode is more the hypoarousal, so this might look like not being able to get out of bed, feeling like you have zero energy, zero motivation, almost kind of looks like depression, often has a lot of brain fog, lack of appetite too. So if you're in more of a fight state where you're overly activated, this looks like we want to engage the parasympathetic nervous system. We want to shift into rest and digest mode. But if you're in a freeze state, we almost want to shock the system and activate that sympathetic response where you are a little bit more activated. And again, I have another video that goes into how to work through those different states. So if you're looking for that, make sure you watch that. The part of nervous system regulation that gets left out a lot is that you don't just have to lower your stress, to go touch grass, to take some deep breaths. You want to be making your nervous system stronger, more resilient to stress, because we can't just get rid of stress, right? There's always going to be stress in our life, but what we can change is the way that we handle that stress. And one of the ways that you can make your nervous system stronger is by stimulating your vagus nerve, which is the main commander of your nervous system. If you can make your vagus nerve stronger so that it is able to better detect what is a true threat and when it doesn't need to activate the full force of the nervous system, you're going to be able to better regulate and be in control of your nervous system, which is then going to impact the other systems of the body too. Your vagus nerve runs from your cranium down your spine all the way to your gut. It's why it's so common when you feel stressed or your nervous system is dysregulated that your digestion really suffers. You might get bloated after meals. You might have to run to the bathroom 15 minutes after eating. This happens because your vagus nerve sends the wrong signal during digestion. So if you're trying to eat your lunch and you are feeling activated, a little bit stressed, you're in more of that fight or flight response, your nervous system is going to signal, hey, don't send out the digestive enzymes. We are not trying to digest our food right now. We are activated. We need to be ready if anything happens. You're trying to eat your lunch, but your body is in sympathetic activation, so it is not going to properly digest your food. And this is where we can see in autoimmune disease a lot of leaky gut, a lot of that intestinal permeability. Maybe you've been in this activated state for a long time, so you've had a lot of meals when you are under stress and you're trying to digest in sympathetic. So the lining of your intestines actually starts to become permeable, and small food particles will go into the bloodstream, which then causes a lot of inflammation, which we know with autoimmune disease is one of the hallmark signs, is a lot of inflammation in the body. And that's why with chronic illness and autoimmune disease, we often have to seal back up the gut lining, but we also really have to work on this nervous system response so that when we are eating our meals, we're in the parasympathetic state, so we're not making it harder on our digestive system. There are a lot of different ways that you can strengthen your vagus nerve. I've talked about it a lot in some of my other videos, but some of the big ones are humming, singing, and gargling. That's because your vagus nerve actually runs along your vocal cords. So if you're activating your vocal cords, you're also going to activate that vagus nerve. I have a client that anytime that they are under stress, they will just hum one of their favorite songs to themselves, and it helps to just take that edge off and calm them down a little bit. It's very soothing. Cold therapy is another tactic to stimulate the vagus nerve. So you can take a cold shower, which is not fun. You can take a bowl of ice water and stick your face in it, which is also not fun. But you can also take a cold pack, an ice cube, and ice the nerve itself, or even just put it on your chest. Especially if you're feeling panic, I find that to just snap you out of it. Sometimes you just need to shock the system a little bit. Again, it's not the most enjoyable thing, but it really works, and it works fast. But what I really wanted to talk about today is the vagus nerve ear massage. For me personally, this is such a game changer and something that I have actually been doing since I was a kid, and I'm curious if you have too and you didn't even realize it. It's an incredible tool to self-soothe, to be able to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, and I am all about having as many tools in your toolkit as you can. You are going to feel so much more in control, so much more empowered with your anxiety, with your nervous system, if you have different tools that you can pull on from different times. I like this activity because it combines both the stress relief of you're getting a nice little massage and that feels really good, but you're also strengthening the vagus vagus nerve and strengthening your nervous system. So it's kind of that 2 for 1. This massage is also really helpful if you have an overactive gag reflex. And that might sound kind of weird, but if you have anxiety, you might notice that when you wake up in the morning, it is really hard for you to eat. It might be hard for you to brush your teeth because you always feel like you're gagging, and it's so strange, but it's actually not strange because this is a really common thing that happens with nervous system regulation. Your vagus nerve is actually part of that gag reflex. So when it is not operating the way it's supposed to, you might notice that that reflex is really overactive. So this massage that I'm going to show you would be really good for you to do right when you wake up in the morning and before meals, so we can shift into that parasympathetic state before you eat. And you're probably like, okay, let's do the massage. So let's get into it. The reason why this massage works is because there actually is a place on your body where your vagus nerve is accessible, and that is right behind your ears, actually. It runs right down by the vocal cords and down to your gut. So I'm gonna show you the longer version of this massage and then show you how you can do a little quick version of it when you're short on time. Start by just noticing what your ears feel like. So start to pull them away from each other, away from your body. Notice if one side maybe feels a little tighter than the other. Maybe they feel the same. And then we're going to start on the ear. So find your canal, the hole in your ear, and you're gonna go over the ridge that's right on top of it. Starting to use your finger and massage in really small circles. I can already feel my body start to relax just from this. You might notice when it's starting to work its magic that you might take a deep breath. Your shoulders might come down from your ears. You might sigh. You might swallow, just starting to feel kind of calm. And then you're going to place your finger in your ear canal. You're not going to jam your finger in your ear canal. Your ear is so sensitive. Nothing that we're doing involves a lot of pressure. It's really slight pressure. But you're going to draw those same circles on the posterior side, the back, so going towards your spine, wall of your ear canal. Again, just starting to notice if you're experiencing any signs of that parasympathetic activation, that rest and digest, feeling calmer in your body, any changes in your breathing. Next, you're gonna go behind your ear. So right in that little divot that you have right behind your ear between the jaw. Again, small circles. And this is something that I've always done since I was a kid. I remember sitting in class and sitting at my desk and just kind of rubbing behind my ears and it being very self-soothing. So if you are at work or before your meals, you're in line at the grocery store and you don't want to do anything like crazy with your ear massage, this is what I would suggest doing, is just massaging behind the ear. It's kind of inconspicuous. Nobody knows you're massaging your vagus nerve, but you do. And then we're just going to repeat the same thing on the other ear. So starting with finding your ear canal, going above the ridge, small circles. And from our beginning, when you noticed maybe one ear was tighter than the other, you might want to spend longer on the side that felt a little tighter. But take your time, spend as much time here as you'd like. And then we're going to move to the back of the ear canal. Again, light pressure. And then behind the ear. Let's check in again. So go ahead and pull on your ears, and you might notice that they feel a little looser. They might feel exactly the same. Just starting to notice. I definitely notice mine feel a little looser right now. And go ahead and release your hands and just take a moment here. Close your eyes if that feels comfortable to you. And check in. Notice how you feel. Notice if maybe there's been a loosening in your chest. It doesn't feel as tight. Your breathing slowed down. Maybe you feel a little less anxious, and maybe you feel exactly the same. We're just noticing here. And that's all it takes, which that really didn't take that long. My clients always tell me they can't believe how different they feel after just a minute of doing that massage. It can really take you from the edge of a panic attack to being more in control of your body really quickly. And that's such an amazing tool to have, something that you know is gonna work quickly for you. So I would get really comfortable with the massage, knowing how to do it. All you really need to do is massage behind the ears. I do find it can be a little bit more effective if you're able to do the full massage, but you don't need to. You can also do both ears at the same time, or you can do them one at a time. It's up to you. But let me know down below, what did you notice in your body while we were doing the massage and afterwards? Were you able to notice any of that parasympathetic activation? I know how frustrating it can be when you just feel like you're stuck in that cycle of always feeling activated. Your physical health seems to be deteriorating, which then makes your mental health deteriorate. And if you're stuck in that cycle, I really encourage you to work on the nervous system piece. Dive deeper into the nervous system regulation techniques. Use the vagus nerve massage. They seem like such simple things, but often your body is just craving those signals again. The signals that tell it that it's safe. We talked a lot about how all the ways that those signals can go wrong in the body, especially with the digestive system. What if you gave it different inputs? What if you gave it the signal that it was safe, that it was okay for it to digest now? Treat it like a little experiment and just see what happens. Be open to something changing. If you're looking for more ways to support the nervous system, I do have a ton of other videos on the nervous system, and make sure you download the free mental health toolkit. It goes into a lot of my other tools that I use for regulating my nervous system. It's completely free, and you can find it in the description below. And please make sure that you hit the subscribe button and like this video if you learned something new. I upload new videos every single week, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a video. Until next time, I'm rooting for you every step of the way.